Hello everybody, how's it going? Me, Carl, Skree, I hope you're all well and going well and things are in the right spot, and hopefully my chat thing is working correctly. Let's see. Hopefully you're working correctly on the stream. There we go, I think I see something pop up there, that's good. Okie dokie, how's it going folks? I hope you're all well. Welcome to a stream. Yes, I'm actually streaming for once. What a weird thing, me streaming. Rare occasion it is. Let me just sort out the screen a little bit quickly, because there we go. That's a little bit better, a little bit neater. Okay, there we go. Things are actually working. All right. Okay. Anyway, welcome, folks. Welcome to Hunter Call of the Wild, new hunting game, developed by THQ Nordic, and yeah, something a bit new, really. Just launched today, so it is nice and new. Hopefully everything's looking nice and clear as well, so it should be nice and clear. Anyway, this is Hunter Call of the Wild. As I say, new game, new hunting game by THQ, and yeah, it's just that. It's a new hunting game. So decided I would have a bit of a mooch around, and we've completed the first bit of the objectives, effectively the tutorial. That's the word I'm looking for, tutorial. So we're now into the game itself, and it is pretty darn good looking. It's so far I'm pretty impressed with it. It's been pretty damn good. But bloody thingy. But of course it is a release day game, so you know obviously there's bound to be some trouble here and there. So do take that in mind with what's going on. Pop my car in, hopefully. How did we work? Jeep, come here. So yeah, it's so far I've been really impressed with it. It's been really quite something. It's a bit different, of course, obviously being new. Being new, it should, you know, there are always those little niggling problems. Also, you know, it's only just launched, so there are a few things that aren't quite. Maybe it was there, and I was just not in the right spot. There are obviously going to be a few things that are quite not optimal, I would say. So it's a bit different from Call of the Wild. It's a little bit more optimised, I'd say, for controllers and a little bit more casual, I'd say, but it's got enough to make it competitive with Call of the Wild, which is good. It's very different in that respect. The animals react really well as well, I find. So we should find some pheasants around here somewhere. Let's see if we pheasants are that's anyway. But the animals sort of tend to react quite well. They're not quite as jittery as all of the wild I find, which is nice. Oh, there we go. We've got some Indians running across the river there. A couple of foxes. You know, so the animals tend to react quite well, you know, and almost a little bit more. I think the animals tend to react a little bit more realistic. They feel more animal-like. They don't feel like they're constantly hiding from you. There we go. There's the pheasants. You know, they act how they would when you actually drive around things and when you get close to things, which is nice. It's a nice little. It's a slightly different sort of feel to it. Obviously, it is a different style of game as well. You can actually choose different levels of difficulty as well. So if you find that you're missing that really overly jittery sort of super spooked animals from Call of the Wild, you can actually make it harder for yourself in that aspect, which is nice. But the fact you can change some settings like that is really cool. One of the things I do really like is actually how the guns feel. Like, that's a hard thing to get across in. We've got some mule deer around, and again, like in Hunter Call of the Wild, they would have been long gone if I was driving around. You can see they're spooked, but they're not necessarily absolutely terrified of a jeep. You know, it's not something that's absolutely scared the living crap out of them, but it's put them on alert effectively. Let's just leave the jeep here for now. Actually, I haven't refilled my gun. One of the things I really like about this as well is the fact that ammunition you don't have to buy. Ammunition is just always there, so it's not something you need to worry about, which I really like because I hate having to buy ammunition. I just despise that feature. Let's go out on foot and have a bit of a look around, shall we? So we've gone through the tutorial sort of section, which was very, you know, it's a nice little tutorial. It's not too hand-holdy. It just gives you the basics and things like that. One of the neat things as well I would say about this, as well as it actually has some really nice, it has some really nice information on animals and stuff like that. So when you actually take down an animal, you get quite a bit of information about them. And you get a lot more information about the actual animals, which is nice. You get the actual information about how they live, how they react, sort of real life information, which is nice, as well as you know, some of the actual So as well as some of the weapons and the actual ammunition, for instance. So we get the ballistic velocity. We also get the information about when it was made and, you know, what it's good for and things like that. So you know, a really nice bit of information, and also, you know, all the weapons are there to have a look at as well. So for instance, I've got the what have I got at the moment? Sorry, you have to forgive me as I'm still getting used to things. I think I've got the Remington here. Yeah, just the Remington 243. So the Remington 783 bolt action hunting rifle, you know, 243 round. Deer hunting, useful for, it's, you know, it's a fairly decent gun, but you can also see what upgrades are and what's going to be a better option for you as well. So, for instance, we've got the 783 and then we've got the Steyr Pro Hunter. Steyr's reputation for legendary accuracy and durability has kept them in business for over 100 years. The Pro Hunter bolt action rifle features the finest cold hammer forged barrels, mated to an ultra rigid cylindrical action. This rifle, you know, it gives you information and stuff like that, which is really cool. It's just nice to have. So it gives you some idea about what's going to be good for hunting with, and what's going to be our best options and things like that. So, you know, we're using the 223, aren't we, at the moment? So you have to forgive me because I'm 243. You know, I'm not American, so I'm not constantly handling guns these days. So I'm a bit out of practice with my old ammunition knowledge and things like that. So you know, but the 243 Winchester 6.2 by 52mm is probably a sporting rifle cartridge developed as a versatile short action cartridge to hunt both medium game and small game alike. It took whitetail hunting by storm when introduced in 1955 and remains one of the most popular whitetail deer cartridges. It's also commonly used for harvesting blacktail deer, pronghorns, mule deer, and heavier rounds. Mule deer with heavier rounds, and is equally suited for varmint hunting as well. So you get an idea of how it will go. Obviously, the 708, 7 on 8, is going to be a much better rifle for hunting some bigger game and sort of generally, you know, deer hunting for a little bit more punch, but we've not quite got the money for it yet, but we will get there at some stage, I'm sure. So at the moment, it's still very early to the game. We don't have much on the way of equipment. You can see some deer around here. Okay. Got some badger tracks. And a few badgers around. I saw some foxes earlier as well. There's a bit of a story to this one as well, which I like. It's a bit different to Call of the Wild, where, you know, you just hunt everything. I do sort of hope that as we go later on, there'll be some more options for game hunting. I imagine there will be. But at the moment, for instance, predators are not really worth much. You know, wolves and stuff like that are not worth much money, because we're hunting for... Oh, hello, badger. 3-star badger. You know, we're not hunting everything. You know, like, we're hunting for meat. That's our goal. Is we're hunting for animal meat, effectively. So, you know, just killing everything is not going to make you money. You know, so we're after meat value, not just killing things for the sake of killing things, which is it's a neat way of making it into a hunting game. You know, we're actually hunting for fancy restaurants and stuff like that. So, you know, just murdering every animal, we're not going to get much money for killing badgers and foxes, for instance. But we will get good money for deer and ducks and the like, and pheasants and all that kind of thing. So at the moment we're tasked with hunting some ducks. And we've yet to find any ducks, so that's sort of what I'm after at the moment. Of duck hunting. And with that we do have our shotgun with us as well. We've got the sure it's this one, the Montague the Jack, which is a pre-order bonus. 12 gauge shotgun, just 12 gauge double barrel shotgun, for hunting fowl. There's not birdshot, buckshot, and slugs or anything like that, so you don't have, you can't go slug hunting or buckshot hunting and stuff. It is pretty much shotgun for small things, rifle for big things, different kinds of rifles as well. You've got your 22s and things like that for smaller game. But you can't just carry around a shotgun and use that to kill everything you want and, go hunting buffalo with a shotgun. Because you're using a slug on it. You have to actually sort of have some loadouts in there. But one of the nice things is you can use your Jeep as the mainstay for keeping up options. So we've got some mule deer across the river there. Let's just keep crouched. How far away are they? About 140 metres away. So if we get up to that tower, we should be pretty good to take a shot, I reckon. So, whitetail deer in the area as well. So you have your hunter's sense, which just gives you basic things, it gives you some clues, and you build it up as you go along. So it shows you need zones and all the usual sort of thing you get in hunting games. I'd say this falls on the sort of Simcade level. It's not as sort of simulatey as Hunter the Classic, but it's not arcadey either. It's just on that nice little sort of border of the two. So we've got some deer over here. Very nice looking, some really nice looking deer over here. Nice mule deer. They've been alerted to us. So all 3-star, all mature. Doesn't matter which one we take. Zero in 150. And we're looking pretty good. Wait for the shoulder to move a little bit. Really, I'd like you to take one step forwards for me, please. No, don't turn this way. I've got one laying down as well. They're looking like they've relaxed a little bit as well. Some nice horns on these guys. Or antlers, I should say. That one that's resting is looking pretty okay. His shoulder's going to be in the way though. I prefer it to be a nice shot. I guess I could go for this one straight in the middle. Yeah, that was a heart shot straight away. Okay, so that is the deer, and you can see they're alerted. They give nice little prompts and things like that, and they won't actually keep running. That's the thing I quite like about this. They sort of run away, but they'll generally calm down. You can see they've just started calming down a little bit, and they're reacting like animals. You know, they're not reacting like, um, you know, they don't have that same AI reaction as Call of the Wild, where it is like they just bolt off and they keep running forever and ever and ever and they don't stop. These ones, they tend to stop after a little while and actually will then come back to their need zones and things like that, which is nice. You know, and as animals tend to do, they get spooked by a shot, but they don't necessarily, you know, they're not alerted like it's a gunshot because they don't know what a gunshot is most of the time. So just, they have that sort of, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's a slightly more natural reaction to one of the herd being shot. They kind of get confused by it. And there you go, you can see they've actually stopped just up the hill there. And they've calmed down now a little bit. So one of the other things I quite like about this is the way that the gene pool works. So if you just hunt bucks, for instance, like if you just keep hunting bucks and not the does, you're going to hurt the gene pool. You're going to actually get it to a point where you've got more bucks than you do doe. And you can actually start causing an issue. So it's worth hunting the doe a little bit as well as the bucks, just to keep things even. So you don't really want to go shooting. There's a lot that's still to be learned, obviously, about bits, and we'll get into that now. But the other thing I wanted to mention was the actual blood splatter as well. The way the blood patterns go is really, really cool. If you hit an animal next to a tree, for instance, you will see that blood splatter all across it. And if the animal runs, you will see that blood splatter continue. You can actually get a good idea with how it goes. And I don't know, it's really cool. Also, the blood colours are different as well. So if you hit the liver, for instance, you actually get a very dark red blood. If you hit the lungs, you get this like pinkish blood, of course. We got a spine shot here, so directly through the spine, so that's why it dropped so quickly. Instant death, basically. But if you get those nice shots through the lungs and things like that, you can take it down quite easy. I was actually trying for a lung shot, or a heart shot, but I aimed a bit high. But I'll take a spine shot, pretty much gone instantly then. Nice quick death. But one of the other cool things is you can actually see, you get bullet time. And so you can see how the bullet goes. So you can see the entry here. Entry, spine, and the bullet has lodged into the spinal column and neck of the deer here as well. So we shouldn't get too much penalty on the meat, because that's the other thing, we're hunting for meat, of course. Now, this little graph here gives you the information of the power of the hit. So if you hit in the low powered section, you want to basically do the damage in the recommended energy range. So that's what we got there. We pretty much in the recommended energy range for the neck. Just maybe a little bit more energy would have been nice. But it was an instant kill, so that's all good. If we look at the overview, so we get the hunt rating, which is 5-star, which is nice. Kill stock shot instant. We get all the data and all that kind of thing. We also get the trophy rating and things like that. But we also get better prices as well. If you shoot a deer like 7 times with a shotgun, you're going to lose money on it. But if you shoot it, if you get a nice single shot, you're going to get a little bit less penalty. So you can see here, animal weight 162 kilograms, loss by shot 1.2 kilograms, weight to sell 161 kilograms, market price 3.3 per kilogram. So we get 532 monies. And it just gives you that nice information about the animal. The other thing as well is there is somewhere, or have they removed it? Um, I think I removed that bit. So there was earlier on, there was sort of like the, oh, there it is, the gene. There you go, the gene rating. So this is 50% gene pool, mature, male, you know, so you get information about the animals you're hunting as well. So we'll take that. That's a nice amount of money. Let's see if we can take a doe out as well from that little herd. Sort of even it out a little tiny bit. But as I say, if you just keep hunting the bucks and not the does, you will eventually, you know, cause issues with the gene pool. So again, that's really interesting. One of the other things as well is, from what I understand, is if you leave the better, if you take out, say, the less interesting animals. So, for instance, if you spot a really, really nice, interesting pattern on a deer, so say you've got a menelistic deer, so a black deer effectively. If you kill all the white deer in the area, or the standard brown pattern deer, the normal deer, like the basic pattern deer, you will eventually start getting a gene pool which is more prone to having the menelistic colouring patterns. So you can affect the gene patterns of the animals. So if you want some really good trophy animals, you've got to actually think about that. You can't go killing all of the, you know, if you go killing all of the really high star rated animals, you're going to start getting to a point where you're going to have less of them in the future. So for instance, this buck here looks pretty decent. So leaving him alive means that we're going to get more in that sort of type. Quite a pale doe there. So, you know, taking her out will mean there's less pale ones in the future. So I'm going to go for this one here. So we're 120. We're zeroing at 100 meters. Completely missed that. Completely fluffed that shot, a little bit too high, I'm sure. Let's just double check. I need to they don't have a rebinding option yet for the keys, which is very, very frustrating, because I would like my binoculars to be on the B key, because, you know, that's what I'm used to. So I'm pretty sure we didn't get a hit there. Just double check, there's no blood around. No, that's okay. We'll leave those deers to deer. Although I would like to actually get some decent footprints around here somewhere, and some bits and bobs tracking. I think. So yeah, you can effectively sort of have the gene pools and things like that, and it just makes it a little bit more interesting, I guess, having those little nuances, which is nice. If we spot any lakes around here. Also, the map is pretty huge, as you can see. It is a massive map area. Got a lake up here. Probably our best bet for getting ducks, I'd say, is probably going towards a lake or something like that. So let's go and head back to the Jeep. I guess we could. I guess there's that lake there we could head to. Let's just fast travel back to the cabin. I might upgrade our gun as well. We've got some money. So let's go to the shop. And probably want to go for 7mm. Same tier as what we're using, but it should just be a little bit of a better, option for hunting. Okay. And we get a deer caller as well. Although we are going duck hunting, so maybe a duck caller could be useful for what we're up to. Let's grab ourselves a duck caller and a deer grunt caller as well. If we don't have enough money for the deer grunter, that's okay. And I'm going to want a better scope at some stage as well. I'm going to save up for the nice scope as well. Alright, let's change our weapons around. And let's chuck a duck caller in there as well. Actually, we'll go for our duck caller. Okay. Car. Alright. So, let's head off to that lake and see if we can't find ourselves some ducks to hunt. Would be nice if we could find a couple of duckies. 3 kilometres away, so it's a fair old hike. But yeah, so far I've been pretty impressed by it. It's not as I say. It's got a lot of things that it can have a little improvement on, but the baseline is really good. Like, it's got a nice feeling to it. The guns really have a good feel to them. which is nice. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest tree stumps. Yeah, a few of the tree stumps do look like animals when you're not in the, like some of the brush and stuff like that. But the gun handling is really, really good, and that's something that's hard to get across in the gameplay. So you just trust me on that. Just it feels good. Like, and as I said, I've had a fair few shots that I've whiffed because I've just been. I'm expecting there to be. I'm not expecting it to be as good as it is, you know. Which is, I guess, a good thing. And as I say, it has a nice feel to it. It's a fairly relaxing sort of hunting sim as well. It's not quite as frustrating as some of the others. Yeah, I'm liking it so far, which is nice. Which is good. Which is what you want generally from a hunting sim, I think. You don't want it to be a pain in the ass and too much like work. You know, monetary wise as well, it's like, you know, there's not too much you have to grind for. Which is, again, something that I quite like, because I don't particularly like grindy games, but there's enough there to make it so you can actually... You've got things to work towards, but you don't have to put lots of hours in to get there. You do have perks and stuff, but they're not super evil. It's just more stuff that you're going to get as you go along. So, for instance, with the outdoorsman one, for instance, you can get, you know, certain things. Form of conscious 10 times, okay. You know, there are certain little things you can get. So, 100% works at a higher distance, which is going to be useful, and 100% also works when you're walking. That's the main sort of thing to sort of unlock, I guess, that's going to be incredibly useful. But it's not sort of like some of the perks in some of the other hunting games I've played, where, you know, they've been... It's almost not worth playing if you don't have the perks, because you just can't hunt any animals. You know, it's almost like you need to get all of these perks unlocked, otherwise you can't do jack to the squad. So it is nice in that respect. You know, obviously, I doubt I'm going to be able to down a moose with my current gear, but that's to be expected. You know, you need to work up the gear a little bit to get certain things. And also, you know, the map's very, very pretty as well. It's just got a nice look to it as well. Oregon there. No, I've not really done any exploring yet either, which is, you know, that's always a big part of the hunting games. And that's always something I like, just having a bit of an explorer at the map as well, isn't it? I like it when they put interesting things in there. Of course, we're in the Americas at the moment, so there's sort of typical American sort of vibes to it. Map size is ridiculous as well, as I said. The map is huge. It's going to take a long time to go explore it. Again, that's something I don't mind at all, you know. We also have hunting zones as well, so can't go hunting in all across the map, for instance. There are some areas that are private land. Hello, ducks. Oh no, they're geese. Sorry. It's definitely a goose. What am I talking about? That was definitely a goose. What are you talking about? Ducks do not sound like geese. Alright. So, let's have a bit of a look-through over here to this lake. So we've got a couple of deer here, a couple of mule deer around. Have a drink. Quite a few deer actually. Quite a few mule deer around. So I was hoping that we would find some ducks up here. Some whitetail as well. So first time I found some whitetail. More of a pond than a lake, isn't it, really? Okay, now let's try and knock a perk. So we've achieved the eagle eye, so 10% better hunter distance. That's useful. Got a fox just then. Alright. So looks like a fairly decent little watering hole. Some young whitetail over there. Adult mule deer. Don't really want to take out the young deer either. Again, that's another thing of the sort of trying not to take out the younger animals as well, because obviously if you take out all the young animals, then you're not going to have as much breeding stock. So I like that system quite a lot. I think that's a really nice little system to have in the game. I've got a lot of deer here. But no ducks, unfortunately. might try and set up shop around here and just see if we can actually use the duck caller to attract any ducks as well. Let's try and get into a nice shop and bag us a deer at least for the time being. Sneaky, sneaky, sneak. Try not to disturb the deer. Nice antlers on you. Nice mature deer there. Fairly nice antlers on that guy. In our favour for sure. Now then. Careful not to get spotted now, I guess. We're in danger close range. Let's see. There's that. Fairly nice mule deer. I'm not going to be able to get close to the whitetail. There's nothing really special over there. So I guess that's going to be our target. Although again, do we really want to take out the main adult deer, I guess? Get into a nice spot to get that shot off, really. Also make sure we pick the right deer. It's looking pretty calm. I think you're going to be my target. You've got a really nice set of nice set of antlers on you, haven't you? A nice spot for that shot, I guess. Easier said than done at the moment. Might be better off actually heading around a little bit. Just kind of putting ourselves in a bit of a rough spot here. We've got nice and close to them, but we're not. Ah, crap, I think I spooked them. Yeah. They definitely heard me. At least some did. Not all of them. Okay. So we didn't spook the herd. We just spooked a couple of them. End of the day, if you spook a couple of them, that's okay. Might even, if you spook the mules, then you might get a chance on a couple of those whitetail. No, I appear to have got stuck. That's not going to help us. Well, drat. Ah, the joys of a new release game. Okay, we've got stuck. Let's head back. Because obviously there are no ducks here either, so... It was not a good duck spot. Travel back to the ranch, obviously. Oh, getting stuck in games, I love it so much. Let's recall our Jeep. Might be able to get some ducks to the river, I guess. We're going to have to go duck hunting though. So where's going to be a good spot for ducks? That's the question. Might go for a drive along the river a little bit and see what we find. So I guess we could try and actually get some ducks coming to us. But we just got to find out. Keep an eye out and ear out for ducks. Which is again easier said than done sometimes. If I was a duck, where would I be? Probably be near some water. Well, we'll be back after this quick technical issue. Oh yay, technical issues. Okay. So we are back. Ah, hey Stony. For some reason my YouTube chat was not working. Sorry, I completely missed those messages. Why was that not coming up on my... Oh, I hate YouTube sometimes, I swear. Hold on, let me... Oh, gosh. See if that's working. There we go, I can actually see my messages now. Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, so sorry about that, Sony. Because I completely missed that you were watching, because for some reason my stupid chat was not actually saying that things were actually coming through. Oh god. Technology, I swear. Anyway, we're back after that crash. Yay for crashes. No, unfortunately, no manual shifting in the Jeep. It is just automatic. It's very simple driving. I think I have to respawn my Jeep. Yes, I do. It's very simplistic in that respect. It is just basically WASD driving. Okay, Jeep is back. You know, there's no... It's not exactly top of the end line driving physics, but it is four-wheel drive. We do actually have a handbrake on it. So, as you can see, four-wheel drive, for sure. Alright, let's try this again. I've just turned down the resolution slightly, so that should stop all the jitteriness as well. So that should run a little bit smooth as well now. Alright, let's go find some ducks, shall we? deer here at the moment. A few mule deer just lurking around. Not going to really worry about hunting them. Pack up there. Can't jump on my Jeep, damn it. Nah, they're all pretty young. We'll leave them be. They can continue on being deer for now. We'll let them get away with not being venison for a bit longer. So how you been, Stoney? Have you been keeping somewhat well? And isn't it like super early where you are? Or yeah, it's super early, isn't it? Or super late, I guess, if I'm not to bed yet. Ooh, chip. It's got a bit while since I crashed into a deer. Almost got one. I am going pretty terrible still, unfortunately. Still waiting on surgery for my back. So that is really not been the most fun. Boxes. Right, let's see if we can actually lure some ducks to us over here in this bend. Ah, good old 3 AM. Free of the AMs. You know, who needs sleep? Got an animal park here. So that's some deer tracks. Just looks like a mound here. It does. Got some badgers around here. I see a badger, I'm pretty sure. Hello, badger. So, set of badgers. Yeah, unfortunately my back is still absolutely terrible. I'm waiting on surgery for that, so I'm sort of going between sort of moments of feeling well. Some whitetail tracks here. Moments of feeling well. Whitetail is it? Oh no, but we've got a nice mule deer there. Got a couple of nice mule deer. Interaction. Nice little badger, actually. Yeah, unfortunately my back is really giving me a jip. Shit, no, I didn't do that. There we go, out the way. 300. No, I haven't seen a new NZ. What is it? A new 300 or is it a new like 380, 350? I'll have to take a look-see at that in a minute. Where did we hit you? There's a blood splatter. Alright, that looks nice and pink. That looks like a long shot. Okay. Alright. Whereabouts are you, dear? You've got a fallen somewhere around here, I'm sure. Blood, 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 blood. I'm sure you went this direction, didn't you? There's your blood splatter. Okay, we've got the initial shot here. So you ran off this direction, didn't you? Alright, I'll look that up after I collect my prize. Pheasant eating zone, that's okay, not what I'm after. There's blood splatter. Which direction are we going? Oh, it looks like it's heading off this direction. This is one thing I always suck at, is actually trying to actually follow blood. Like that. One thing I always find in hunting games is they tend to... the blood sort of... it never feels right to me, because generally, you know, when you're following blood, it tends to leave a bit more of a trail, in my experience. Not that I've hunted big game. Not exactly a person, you know, in big game hunting, but, you know, rabbits and things like that, they tend to, you know, if you hit them and they bleed, they tend to leave a bit of more of a trail of blood, and it's quite easy to spot. Come on, where did you go? You can't have gone far. Heading into brush, I'd say. I'm completely cocked up with... No. Tree? No. Good. Okay. Trees are my most dangerous foe, it seems. Come on, where's the blood trail gone? Definitely a thing that I do like Call of the Wild more is just the dogs for tracking, because God, I hate tracking. Okay. Blood. You ran off this direction. Pheasant neat zone, and then the blood somewhere around here, wasn't there? There's that blood. Okay, to me that looks like it's heading off this direction. There we go, blood. There we go. Blood. Okay, alright, that's more realistic. That's what I like to see. Is, you know, blood that's actually, you know, splurting out, because, you know, it's kind of how it works. Alright, we should have a dead deer right about here, I'd say. So, one thing I actually really like about the blood is you can see it's actually stained the grass here. You know, you can actually see the blood actually sort of goes up. It's a little bit more pink than I would... You know, it's a bit more, like, pinky pink than what I actually say it would be. Anyway, there we go. Right through the main artery, actually, between the lungs. So the femoral artery? Arteries. Alright. Oh, okay. 3.7 litre V6, nice. Sort of got the... It almost looks like a 380 mixed with a Skyline. I like it. Quite like that. That's actually a nice looking car. Anyway, so the 708 Remington, double lung shot. That's nice. Went straight through the right lung. You can see nice bit of damage there as well. So we've gone in, clipped the rib. So that's going to affect the price a little bit. And then double lung. And I think it's actually got lodged in the shoulder blade. So we've still got the bullet in there. Yeah, the new Z looks very cool. It sort of has the... It almost looks a bit like the 380 rather than the 350. It's got more of that sort of bubble at the back. Oh, thank God they're getting the manual. I don't understand why everybody is like automatic / semi-automatic with things. We need manuals, damn it. 50% jeans, mature male, 2-star trophy rating, nice amount of money. I'll take it. Okay, that was a nice little bonus. Anyway, let's try and get some ducks, shall we? Any pheasants around here? Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, if you're only good at driving, you can get a much better 0 to 60 with manual than you can with an auto. Ooh, there's a lot of pheasants here. Hello. Didn't spook you guys, did I? Any nice trophy pheasants? 2 stars. Double check there's only 5 stars around. Right, let's just quickly get ourselves a couple of pheasants, shall we? Two for the price of one. No, three for the price of one. Nice. Okay. There you go. That was a nice shot. Okay. So 12 gauge plus pheasant equals, you know, a dead pheasant. 85% gene pool, so not bad. 2-star rating, not bad. A little bit less on the female pheasant. Nice amount of money on this one actually. 10 monies. But we got ourselves a pheasant. Yeah, I've got we've got a few different skylines over here. We've got that sort of like traditional pheasants. Some pheasants around here. Ducks, damn it. Very nice bend in the river here. Pheasants around here, and ducks. Around the corner from me, we've got like one of those weird skylines that are basically just like they're just like a 4-door, like I'd say Maxima, right? They're just a standard saloon sort of car skyline, and then we've of course got the GTRs. When I was working for Nissan, it was when the Skyline just got launched. Had some real fun in that thing. It was a hoot to drive. Although I did like the 350Z more. I actually liked the 350Z a little bit more. Yeah, I always find it weird how America has the different brands for their like their Japanese cars. Like they've got the American versions. It's almost like they no, they're up to ducks, remember? Let's see. Hide in this bush. See if we can attract some ducks. Yeah, I always find it weird that they have like the different brands. It's almost like, yeah, we have Teslas over here. I really don't think much of Tesla. Mainly because it's Elon Musk. Plus, I mean, the cars are okay, but they're they're not very green, like all things considering. And well, I find Tesla tends to be one of those companies that's very it likes to pretend that it's good. Yeah, exactly. It's like I feel like TVR tend to make better cars than Tesla, and that's saying a lot because TVR are very. I love TVRs to death, but they're not exactly the best made cars in the world. No, absolutely. Like Lexus tend to be. I mean, all Japanese cars tend to be very well made. I mean, it's just a common thing. I mean, like even the older ones are always so reliable, and you know it's very rare that you get a junker. You know, once you get to a couple of 100,000 kilometers, then you know they start to get a little bit, but they tend to go pretty well. You know, and yeah, TVR were they made the they were a British sports sports car manufacturer. It's been Blackpool in England, and they made some of the best looking cars. I mean, they were absolutely awesome looking. They were very cool cars, but they were not what you would call quality. Alright, I'm not having much luck with ducks in this location. Let's find some ducks, damn it. Alright. Go over there. Some foxes. Go back to the Jeep. Like the Griffiths and stuff like that with some of the like, you know, TVR are just ridiculously cool. Oh, very calm peasants. But their factory workers were notorious for writing things on the inside of the interior. So you'd often find on the body panels of like a TVR, like if you actually remove the lining of the car, yeah, Spiker are pretty cool. They actually had a Formula One team as well. They back in the mid 2000s had the Spiker F1 team, which took over from Midland, I think, or Midland took over from there, which was Minardi back in the day, I think. No, was it Minardi? No, it wasn't Minardi. Was it Minardi? Yes, it was Minardi. God, I'm trying to remember the actual date of that one. But yeah, Spiker, they make some interesting cars. There's lots of those little manufacturers that make some really interesting little cars, like you know, sort of, too many to mention. I mean, even trying to think about it is hard. But you've got lots of these cool little brands. Morgan is my favourite as well. The Morgan Freewheeler is an absolute beauty, but there was actual Morgan had a GT competition version deer around still. They had a competition version. It's actually a GT3 version of it. Which is just hilarious. I mean, the fact that you've got a GT3 Morgan is one of the stupidest things that you could possibly ever make. But I love it to death because, you know, it's a GT3 Morgan. I mean, what more do you need? There we go. Look at that thing. I mean, look at it. It is just ridiculous. Who on earth would have thought making a GT3 version of a Morgan? You know, it is just fantastic. But there were quite a few of those little weird sort of almost. I'm trying to think of some of the other companies. There are quite a few sort of small companies that did these GT variants. Right here. And they ended up doing quite a few, like some really cool stuff. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the majority of the, like, some of the Morgan Aero models, like, they are made out of wood. You know, they still have wood in them, which is what you want from a sports car. Yeah, the Aerial Atom is an absolute beast of a thing. I mean, you wouldn't say it's comfortable, but it is fast. Again, it's just one of those really... Some deer around. See what we can spot up here. Like Aerial and... Yeah, there are even some companies that make like KTM crossbow and things like that. They are ridiculously cool and just such. It's just such a weird little thing to make. You know, it's such a cool little track day car. Which I love the fact that they, you know, they make these things because, you know, somebody's got to have it. Caterham is one of my all-time favourites. Took on the Lotus Super 7 chassis. So Caterham took over the Chapman designed Super 7, and the Super 7 is probably one of my all-time favourite cars. But the Caterham is just silly. Like, they have there's a V6 version. There's actually what's it called? Over here. Elfin. That's the one. So Elfin is an Australian manufacturer, and they made quite a few different ones, a few different models of cars. But they also made some versions of like Caterham chassis, well, the Lotus Super 7 chassis. Let's see what's going on in this river section. But one of the Elfin models had a 5.6 litre V8 in it. No, hydropneumatic suspension is evil. It's the devil's suspension. It's the worst thing in the world. Damn you, Citroen. But yeah, I look, a comfortable Morgan freewheeler would be nice. It would definitely be a nice added bonus, because they're not exactly the most comfortable things as well. They are effectively a motorbike with a sidecar. That's all they are, really. A fairly big river section here. Let's go on foot and see what's going on. We might have some, might possibly be some ducks around this area. I know you have a love for Citroen, Stony, and that's because you're weird. You know, nobody should love Citroen suspension because it is just the most evil thing in the world. There's a little deer coming back. But yeah, the V8 Elfin, I think that would be, as a car to just actually experience, you know, a Super 7 chassis with a, you know, big 5.7 litre GM motor chucked into the front of it. You know, it just, I feel like it would be an experience. Probably wouldn't be the most effective car to drive, and I doubt it's, you know, the chassis is very good. Like, that, the Super 7 chassis is a fantastic chassis. The Patron chassis is a fantastic chassis. But every chassis has its limitations, especially when it is effectively just, you know, bits of scaffolding. Look, Citroen's so evil, not even the German party that you're speaking of could put an end to it. You know, like, that's the reason the Germans lost, is because they tried to use Citroen suspension in their tanks. It's the downfall of the Third Reich. Citroen suspension. Oh, what helping? There's some ducks around somewhere. Pheasants over there. Ah, yes, the good old resistance techniques of factory workers. The dipstick one was a common one. There was also, I'm trying to think who it was. I think it was a Czechoslovakian one. There was a lot of like little dodgy things that they would do. You have to forgive me, my memory is really struggling at the moment. But I know that there was some the Czechoslovakians did to one. I think it was one of the German field cars, and it would just cause constant issues. And it was one of those things that would just it wouldn't cause it to break, it would just cause it to have to be repaired constantly. And that was the thing, is they would often make it so that it was something that was just a niggling issue rather than a constant issue. And as you say, field mechanics would have to just constantly repair them. And that was the best way of actually getting back at them, because when you have things just absolutely crap it and you know, break down fully, just abandon it. But if you've got something that has just mild issues, then generally they don't abandon it and they just try and keep it going, but it just wastes time and resources and people, and that's the best way of getting sort of like the best way of sabotage in that respect. Mule deer. This river is too fast for trucks to be around. So we need a nice, still, a lake or something. Oh, the Tatra is beautiful. There was a really nice streamline model back in the late 30s. Absolutely gorgeous vehicle. They did some absolutely gorgeous looking cars, and it's one of those things like people forget with a lot of the especially the Slavic countries, they sort of get neglected with some of their more interesting vehicles. You know, they did make some really cool stuff, and you know, just unfortunately history tends to forget them. And it's like, you know, even, you know, like motorsport wise, historically people are like, oh well, you know, this nation's never done much in motorsport, yada yada yada. It's like, no, they've done a lot. It's like Argentina gets a really dull rap these days because people forget how involved Argentina was in the motorsport industry. I mean, like, you know, back in the early days, they were getting funded to drive. You know, a lot of Argentinian money was put in to actually get their motorsport up there, you know. And you had, of course, Fangio and I'm trying to think of the other guy. There were a couple of other drivers for the Argentinians, but they had a great motorsport program and they produced some amazing drivers. And, you know, like Mexican drivers like Gonzalez, like the Gonzalez brothers and things like that. You know, you had, you know, Rodriguez, sorry. You had such a huge amount of great talent from over there, and they just seem to get forgotten, unfortunately. Planes around here. Yeah. Alright. There's got to be a decent like lake or a decent spot for duck, you know? Maybe up there. Maybe that might be worth checking out. Let's go back up here. Yeah, Bugatti's a weird one because it's you know, it is French. It is very French. But it's owned by the Italians now. I'm pretty sure. The newest. It's got this weird, like, constant sort of changing of. I did not realise.
Seems like Grandpa's my biggest fan. Seems like Grandpa's my biggest fan.
I like the fake movie posters. Sand. It's obviously not Dune, is it? I guess we're a stuntman in our day job. So that's interesting. Yeah, like, Bugatti has just become this weird sort of, like, mess nowadays. Obviously, you know, it's German owned, but it's... I don't know what's going on with that. But, yeah, like, people forget that Bugatti was the French national team, and you don't see the beautiful blue anymore of the old Bugattis, you know, it's a shame, because that beautiful duck egg blue of the French race team is gorgeous. And, you know, obviously... There are so many cool French manufacturers back in the day, so many cool... just so many cool... bullshit. Just so many cool little French things that came out, and... yeah, a lot of it's forgotten by history, obviously, but... even so, America just forgets about so many things, like... and, you know, they tend to overlook many manufacturers and cars, you know. And it's similar in Australia, you know, if it's not a V8, then it's not, you know, it's not a proper car, like, you know. That's the thing, it's just... this weird, obviously the weird love and fascination of V8s, and I get it, because I love a good V8, but there is nothing more fun than a nice straight six, and, you know, again, that's something that's fallen by the wayside. It's, you know, like, everybody's love of the Viper, not Viper, the Cobra, Shelby Cobra, of course, you know, like, and again, I get it, the Shelby Cobra is just an awesome car, it is a fantastic car, but the AC Acer was just such a great little sports car that's just been neglected because everybody turns them into a bloody Cobra. Yeah, Panhard's still around, because I know they make, I know Panhard still make a fair, well, they were making a fair few armoured cars. I'm not sure if they're still actually making them. A waterfall. I feel like this needs a little bit of exploration. Yeah, Panhard makes some really interesting vehicles. I feel like they actually beavers around here? Any beavers? Okay. So 1960s is when they just get. I wonder if Peugeot still brand some of their military vehicles with that though, because I'm sure I saw, or I vaguely remember some Panhard military vehicles of recent years. Of course, they made famously. I'm pretty sure they made that really interesting six-wheel, basically wheel tank that had the metal central wheel for it. So it was effectively it's six-wheel drive, but it had it mainly ran four-wheel drive, and then you put the middle wheel down and you need the extra traction and stuff like that. But they had some really cool things like that. But again, you know, it's just, and Talbot, of course, you know, they. Yeah. Hannah had some very cool little cars. I mean, let's say Talbot as well. They, of course, they had some brilliant engines. I mean, they were still making Formula One engines up until the 90s, I think, Talbot. Yeah, a lot of the early sort of, especially companies that make trucks and decent cars, they would have that sort of split. Yeah, Ford is pretty popular in the UK. Obviously, big over in Australia as well, because you got you had the Ford Falcon and stuff like that. Over in the UK, it's more of the smaller four cylinders, you know, the Sierras and stuff like that. Ooh, hello. A black bear? Probably shouldn't be getting out of the car to investigate, should I? Bears notoriously oh, there's a black bear. Cool. Notoriously friendly towards people. No, the UK car industry is just the. And I mean, we made some stinkers of cars as well. You know, like some of the Vauxhalls, misery. Anglers, stuff like that. It's just misery, pure misery. But like the Ford Sierra and stuff like that, you know, obviously huge, and the what was the other one? I think, yeah, like Ford is, you know, it's huge everywhere, but there's. The thing is like, there's a lot of, you know, European-made Fords as well. They weren't necessarily the American sort of style. They sort of, you know, it's like the Ford Focus and stuff like that. You know, that's that sort of classic European design car. And the Focus is a really good little car. Really nice balanced car and stuff like that. Vauxhall had some good cars. I mean, it's basically GM, General Motors. Vauxhall's part of General Motors, things like that, and they had some. Okay, that's a rock. I don't know how I'm stuck on this rock. Defeating physics. Yeah, the Capri. That's what I was trying to think of. Right, the Capri is just an awesome car. And, you know, over in Germany with, what's their version? Opel. The Opel made some really cool Capri variants and things like that. Opel had some really nice cars. Right, this looks like there could be ducks around here. This seems like duck territory for me. The Vectra and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Vauxhall made some good cars, but they also made some stinkers as well. But I mean, you know, every manufacturer's made some stinkers in the past. But Vauxhall had some, you know, depending on which part of the country you got your Vauxhall from. Like some of the Vauxhall factories were fine, some of them were pretty average, and some of them were just terrible. Depending on, you know, which one you got. Austin's as well. The Austin brand, and I'm trying to think of the other one as well. It was Austin, and there was another one that was really, really bad. Deer around. Mule deer. Fiat has had some interesting cars. I mean, obviously the 5 and 600 series are amazing. Yeah, that's it. It's the same in England. You had your, you know, it's weird, you know, there were some factories that were very good and some factories that were very bad, depending which ones were nationalised and which ones were all on the unions and things like that, I guess. It's just, misery. All of that kind of stuff. There should be some ducks around here. At the very least, a couple of geese. Let's try a duck call. Got a lodge up there as well. Might be useful to have for that. Ah, yes, Reliant. Yeah, I've driven, and I've also... The interesting thing about the Reliant, especially the Robin, is the actual dimensions of it means it fits perfectly... Yeah, Reliant made them. So the thing about the Reliant Robin was it's pretty much it's about 5 centimetres either side smaller than a skip, than your average skip. So if you set up 3 planks of wood and know where the handbrake cable is and disconnect said brakes, which isn't hard to do on a Reliant with a pair of pliers, you can then roll it up a skip and then into said skip, and then basically it's impossible to get out of said skip because the way it fits in the skip means that it will it requires the skip to be turned upside down to get the Reliant out. And this isn't something I did as a child because that would be illegal and terrible and, you know, a horrible thing to do to a person, especially a person that puts tickets on cars in a local town that I grew up in that owned one of these vehicles. But theoretically, what I could have done was put said car into the skip and then said owner would never get it out again. And I never did that. Never. Ever did that. Got a feeling Reliant was owned by... who made Mini? Austin. I got a feeling it was owned by Austin towards the end. Because you had the Austin Mini and then it was the... Oh god. Again, I can't remember off the top of my head. Is it Metro? There was a terrible company that bought it after Austin that it went into, who were just the worst, and they made some absolute stinkers of a car. And basically that version of the Mini was a complete stinker as well. Ducks should be around. Not Morris. Although Morris folded into them. To look it up on my phone. as I said, there's a horrible thing of things getting merged into each other and just British Leyland, I think, were the overall company. That's Leyland were just a blur. Yeah, British Leyland was. It's not the one I'm trying to think of, but yeah, British Leyland just. Oh God. Speaking of terrible cars, there is some terrible British Leylands around. Jensen made some beautiful cars. The Interceptor, of course. There was a couple of others as well. Sunbeam. You had. Trying to think of some other ones in that. So yeah, Jensen had some absolutely gorgeous cars through their line. The Interceptor was pretty terrible, but there was a Spitfire. The Spitfire, Jensen Spitfire, was it? Oh gosh. No, the Triumph Spitfire, that's the one. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, Israel's made some interesting stuff as well. Like, they've got industry in that respect, and you know, there are always little, again, these little weird industries and little weird manufacturers that tend to get forgotten. I mean, Hispano Suiza, they made some of the most beautiful cars of all time. Like, some of the Hispanos from back in the day were just unbelievable. They were the absolute top end of cars. I'm not having any luck with ducks, am I? But you know, like, Hispano had some really interesting stuff as well. Like, they made so many different things, and you know, from planes to cars to guns to everything, really. And speaking of such things, you had the. Yeah, exactly. You have to have Jay Leno money to own some of the Hispanos. There was the Messerschmitt bubble car as well, which was cool, and it was made from basically bits of the. Is it the 109? And I think there was a Heinkel one as well. There was a Heinkel bubble car as well, which was made from like parts of the old 111. You know, there's some really weird, cool stuff like that in that part of history as well. But Hispano took on the license of the 109, and they ended up making them with the Griffin engine. So you had these weird bloody 109 Griffins. They used them in a couple of films, in the Battle of Britain films and stuff like that. It's a bit like the Italian G55, which became the G91, with the Rolls-Royce Merlin. And I think they had the Griffin engine in there as well. But you have these weird sort of mixtures of the old access planes with the Merlin engines in them, which is cool. Oh, the M1 is a beautiful car. The BMW M1 is a absolute gorgeous vehicle. Very, very quick, very fast. Way ahead of its time as well. Like, that thing was just absolutely awesome. Like, they have, it used to be a pre-race thing for Formula 1. They had the M1 supercar race, where you had the actual Formula 1 drivers driving the M1 supercars, which was so cool. Like, there are some really cool little races with that. But the M1 is, like, definitely a favourite of mine. It's just such a beautiful car. Like, funny thing is, though, it's like, if I had the money where I could just choose, you know, whichever sort of thing I'd want, I'd probably go for a 2002 instead of the M1. But yeah, just gorgeous. They really did make, again, like, stuff like that. It's a shame that we'll never have similar cars to those built in production for companies, but we are sort of having, the whole supercar thing is still alive, but it's coming with, you know, it's sort of a different era now with cars in that respect. You know, we don't have the same sort of style. It's a different generation now. It's just a very different sort of style of cars we're going to get. But at least we're still going to have some cool supercars. All beautiful. Like, some of the classic BMWs as well, they just, oh, yeah, they speak to me. You know, they definitely are up there on, you know, cars that I adore, the old BMWs. Well, duck hunting has not gone well. I mean, hunting in general has not gone well. I think we killed, what, like one animal so far. Maybe two. Oh no, we got those pheasants, didn't we? So that's something. I feel like I'm up in bear country now. Bear and moose country. I still haven't found any bloody ducks. Just want some ducks, damn it. Don't have permission to hunt here, so I don't think I can actually use my gun. But that's right. I'm just going to get up to the cabin. I think. Guaranteed there's going to be ducks up here now. And I'm going to be so annoyed if there are. So this is the other thing about this game, is you have sort of areas, like this is private land hunting. So you can't hunt here without unlocking it. And to unlock it you need to either buy the license, or I think you can do missions, which is good. But at least we'll get to have a bit of a poke around. don't know if animals respawn in the area. Hope they do. Can't hunt them. But I might as well just unlock that spot at least, so then I've got quick travel to work with. And then I don't know where to find bloody ducks. I might just go and hunt some deer back near the other lodge. Just get some deer hunting done and just see if we can stumble across a few ducks. We've got pheasants and deer, plenty of them, but just no ducks. Which is mildly frustrating. We also found out that we're playing as a stuntman, which is kind of cool. So we are a famous stunt man. Run. Much easier if my Jeep didn't get stuck in a rock. So I found a few glitches as well, which is always fun. Be careful of trees. But overall, I must say, compared to Call of the Wild, this does have some different feeling to it. I mean, as I said, the gunplay feels a lot better than Call of the Wild. That is a big plus to it. The animal behaviour as well is definitely different. It feels more, I don't know, it feels more realistic to how animals behave. It's less of a frustration for hunting the animals. Like, the animals actually feel more how an animal would feel when you fire a gun or drive a Jeep past it. It's not anywhere near as annoying as Call of the Wild. Oh yeah, there's plenty of there's plenty of there's bucks and does. Very fitting that I own She-Devil. Kids used to call me that when I was little. Sometimes the teachers did too. It's true, I have an unusual profession and outlook on the world. I hope you will respect it. I am Felicia Yee and I am a taxidermist. It is the opposite of an icebreaker at high school reunions. I love taxidermy and it's one of history's most misunderstood art forms. For me, taxidermy is absolutely touching. It's a victory over death and I see it as an homage to life. I'm preparing for my new exhibition and I've heard from locals about an extremely aggressive black bighorn sheep. He caused a lot of damage during last year's rut, he even managed to kill some other sheep, and everybody's afraid he may happen again. He reminds me of myself, the She-Devil, bring him to me. Felicia Yee. Yeah, Skyrim hunting mods are kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of like I think some of the best hunting in like a non-hunting game I found is like Red Dead. Red Dead 2 has some really cool...
You've discovered Nez Perce Valley mountain habitat. The beauty and magnitude of the world is etched into rocky memory within ridge area where not one, but many find themselves becoming sheep fanatics, witnessing extraordinary mountain goat climbers and bighorn sheep in their rugged habitat.
Okay. Red Dead 2 has got some cool hunting mechanics in it. But... But at least I can probably travel to this spot now. Well, yeah, I can fast travel there. Alright. Let's go back to Bear Den. Red Dead 2 I think has got some of the best hunting for like a non-hunting game, but it is frustrating as well. I really hate Red Dead 2 and just how much busy work it has you do. It's just, oh god. Especially some of the hunting for some of the birds and things like that for some of the missions are just so frustrating because it's just impossible to know and see them and, god, frustrating. Elder Scrolls 6, I reckon it's going to be coming out probably late 23, middle of 23, late 23 I'd say. But I do wonder how it's going to be because, I don't know, Bethesda's been making some weird decisions today. Are the animals beautiful in what, Stoney? Right, in this or in I could definitely see it being... well, isn't Star Citizen still to come out? Because I thought Star Citizen was going to be coming out before Elder Scrolls. And we haven't heard anything on Star Citizen. Like, it's been such a... Starfield, sorry, yeah, Starfield, that's the one. Like, I've not seen or really seen much on Starfield. What? And that's meant to be coming out before the Elder Scrolls. And I feel like Bethesda's kind of lost their way. Like, they've kind of lost their... well, lost their way. I mean, obviously there was the whole issue with Fallout 76. I mean, that was a disaster and still is a disaster. I don't mind 76, but Fallout 76 was such a... It's still an ongoing disaster for them, and I feel like they're trying desperately to recover it. Of course, there's also the fact that they've got taken over by Microsoft. So that's been a... you know, that's still an ongoing... thing, you know. Yeah, that's it. I mean, Oblivion is just... like, one of the things I found with Bethesda is... as I say, it's almost like they've lost their way. Like, they no longer... They've sort of been... I don't know, they've been making weird decisions. And... it's like with Skyrim. They've released Skyrim so many times now. We've had, what, like 1,000 releases of Skyrim, but we've not had anything of Oblivion or any of the older games released in better definition. Yeah, exactly. Like, the fact that they've actually made it so... They've made it hard for the modding community and stuff like that. That's the target. And the fact that they actually ended up, you know, screwing over modders and things like that, it's just... a long shot, I think. You know, the fact that they've hurt their modding community and things like that, and they've stopped fan-made remakes and things like that. Exactly, the whole Morrowind stuff, the New Vegas remake, things like that. They've really shot themselves in the foot with everything, because Bethesda almost relies upon the community to fix their crap. I mean, it's very rare that a Bethesda game comes out that isn't an absolute mess. And 9 times out of 10, you know, it's up to the community to make it better. And, you know, with Skyrim and stuff like that, a lot of the replayability came from the mods. And Oblivion, you know, like, Oblivion, fantastic game, but they never looked at remaking it. They never looked at redoing it. And the fact that they just left some of their old properties, New Vegas, of course, and things like that. You know, just leaving the old properties. Okay, got the lungs, that's good. Should be a dead deer, some nice venison shortly. The fact that they really have messed over their community, I feel like that's such a terrible thing for them to have done, because they just really missed the opportunities. And blood, where are you? Somewhere. No way that deer would have got too far. It's got collapsed lung. In this direction. You know, just the fact that they've ruined so many things like that, and they've ruined their name. And one thing that springs to mind is there was that Terminator game that was released. was by the same guys that did that terrible, terrible Rambo game. So it just shows how well I'm doing at the moment. The fact that if I'm talking, I'm just completely losing my concentration. But there was that Terminator game release, and basically, like back in the day, Bethesda made these amazing Terminator games, and it's almost like they completely lost their way. Blood. Should be some blood around here somewhere. Once more. And Bethesda's just almost lost their I reckon there's going to be a dead deer somewhere around here. Where did you go? You know, and people have been making better Bethesda games than Bethesda recently, and it's just, you know, it's sort of sad, but they've also just been bringing it upon themselves because they've really messed up in recent years, and just been making it harder for the community to have fun with them. And they've really hurt themselves with it. It's just, as I say, shooting themselves in the foot. Where the hell did that deer go? Blood. Anyway, they just completely lost their way, and it's just such a shame because, you know, they made such great games. Aha, there you are. They did make such great games, but then they just completely, I don't know, they just really have hurt themselves. Wasn't a great shot, I feel like. I don't know, I didn't lose too much. It was just a very low quality deer. It's a shame. It's alright. Still some money. We did get a new thing as well. Like a ghost hiker. Okay. 15% less noise as we travel. That's always nice. But yeah, they seem to be making more and more of these choices to neglect their community, and I guess, you know, obviously being owned by Microsoft doesn't help because Microsoft is evil, like most companies. But, you know, they just keep on remaking, you know, Skyrim. And it's almost like they're not focusing on anything else. It's kind of like Rockstar, how they've gone with their games. You know, they're just making like the Rockstar Online stuff, and everything is an online game now. It's like, you know, GTA 6 is going to have, you know, GTA Online to it as well, because they made so much money with GTA Online. You know, it's just an infinite cash cow. And then you had Red Dead Redemption 2, and they ended up making Red Dead Online, and nobody's playing it because people don't want that. They want the single player games. People want single player games a lot of the time. And they're just sort of, so many game companies these days are losing their way and not making single player content. They're just making this multiplayer stuff that people don't want, and it's just so daft. You know, it is. It's just a really, it's just dumb. And you know, it's just stupid. It's frustrating because, you know, we could absolutely have the stuff that we want, but it's all about money at the end of the day, and that's the only thing that really matters. And it's just, you know, it's like everything has to have microtransactions in it and all this kind of stuff. And luckily, we are kind of moving away a little bit from that, but it's still pretty bad. You know, the majority of games these days, it is just all about those. It's not about the long term. The long term of the game. It's all about the short term, and it's all about that quick buck you can make. So, you know, they don't really care if, you know, a game lasts for forever. You know, it's kind of like the EA thing of making a new game every year for sports games. You know, it's like, I would much rather have Formula 1 games, and, you know, well, Formula 1 for me, for example. I'd much rather have a Formula 1 game come out every 5 or 6, well, let's say every 2 years, you know, with, say, 2 seasons to it, than one coming out every year with just a single season. You know, just actually make it so you can play 2 seasons in the same game, and actually make a better job of it. You know, not crush your teams and have your devs having to work constantly and having them just crunch and all this kind of stuff, which is just miserable. You know, the whole crunch thing is misery as well. But yeah, it just seems more and more these days that people just, I'll say that, you know, companies like Bethesda and stuff, they're not making the things that people actually want. They're just making what makes money, and it's just a shame, really. You know, because imagine how much money Bethesda would make if they did a remake of New Vegas. If they remade New Vegas, for instance, you know, did a re-release with, you know, really good graphics, a much better engine, all this kind of stuff, they could make a ton of money from that. And yeah, it's not necessarily easy, but it is one of those things that, you know, you basically, I imagine it's much less work involved in having to make a game from scratch. And then, like recently with the the Grand Theft Auto remakes, you had Grand Theft Auto 3, the Vice City, and what was the other one they did? It wasn't 4. Was it just Vice City and GTA 3? Whatever it was. But the remasters of those, and they just shipped it out to some company that doesn't know what they're doing. They did a half-assed job with it, made a bit of money from it, and it's now just been swept under the rug, and it's just like, it's a complete waste of time, because those games are so beloved. If they had actually taken their time and actually really done a great job of recreating them. Oh, yeah, GTA 4, sorry. Was GTA, San Andreas. You know, if they'd really taken their time, it could have been a fantastic, a really fantastic thing. But instead, they just absolutely cocked it up. Alright, got a nice mule deer here. Switch out a bit. You know, the Mass Effect remakes, I'd sort of, or remasters, I guess, they were incredible. You know, they were absolutely incredible. They did a great job on those remasters. And you know, as you should, because it is such a beloved series. What are these terms in? Shot. But they're almost leaving it up to the fans to do all the work these days. They're just, I don't know. Very frustrating. Let's make this our last gear, I think. Let's see if we get one more deer under our belt before I call it quits for a day, / night, because I'm starting to struggle a bit now. Pain and all that kind of fun stuff. Oh, we're in a terrible spot here. I've just absolutely popped this up and I'm right in the direction of the wind. Yeah. Guess at least we can get some tracks from it. But yeah, I don't know. Current games industry is weird. Alright, I think I'm going to call an end to it here. So, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thanks for the company, Stoney. I will hopefully catch you soon. I'm hoping to try and get a little bit more content up on the channel. And I appreciate everybody for sticking around, because, yeah, as I say, I've been well, not a bit unwell, I've been very unwell, unfortunately, so, it's not the easiest of times at the moment, but yeah, I will be back with some more stuff soon. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you kind of enjoyed this one, bit of a chilled out one. And I will see you all again next time. So